Welcome to Excel for Water Resources Management. My name is Andreas de Jong. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to download free daily weather data from over 100,000 stations worldwide. The dataset is called the Global Historical Climatology Network, GHCN-Daily version 3, hosted by NOAA. What we can download includes the daily temperatures, both max and min, daily precipitation, and daily snowfall and snow depth. I'm going to show you 4 methods on how to download this data. First of all, an online map viewer. Secondly, Google Earth. Thirdly, QGIS. And last but not least, a special Excel tool which I've developed for this purpose. Let's get started. So the first option is a GIS map viewer. If we go to the landing page of GHCN-Daily version 3, under Search Data, you'll see a link to the map viewer right here. So just click on it. So there's various data sets here. The first one is only for the United States, the second one as well. Plus all these daily normals only covers the United States. So for the international data, we can get the WMO data. You can see it's quite extensive. And there's also the global summary of the day, which is the historical data. So let's start with the WMO data. And let's go to Dubai. Just search for it, takes us there immediately. We zoom out a bit, we can see better what's going on. Okay, what you need to do is press on the little tool here, and we'll have our tools opening up on the right. If we use Identify, we can click on Dubai. Okay, it has selected Dubai International Airport. You can see here the station number and name, and also that the data record goes from 83 all the way until present. You can select more stations by, for example, drawing a rectangle around it. But today I just want to have a look at Dubai International, add it to the cart. What we'll do is select the CSV option, and for the date range, we'll select the entire data set, so starting January 1st, 1983 until present, say apply, review the items in your cart, press continue, and I think we'll just include all available data. The units should be metric, and we can see that precipitation data is available, and also the air temperature, average, max and min. Press continue. Okay, now we're going to review the order. And just enter your email address 2 times and press submit order. Okay, you should see a green box here saying it has been submitted successfully, and you'll get an email when it's ready for download. So I've received the file. Let's open it up a bit. We get the station code, the name, latitude, longitude, elevation, date, precipitation, precipitation attributes, average temperature, Tmax and Tmin, along with attributes. And you can see that the temperature seems to be in the correct range in degrees Celsius. There's not much rain in the 80s, but as we progress, there's an increase in precipitation because of cloud seeding, especially this year in 2024 we had quite a lot of rain in April. Okay, so that's 15,000 plus daily data points for Dubai International Airport. So to summarize the map viewer method, it's a pretty fast method to find the stations. It's easy to link to the station data. Data can be downloaded from more than 1 stations. And you have a bit of control over the parameters, the units and time periods. The data will be processed correctly so you can easily use it directly for your work. However, you don't have a really good map which is suitable for a report, so you're still going to have to make a map. The second option is the Google Earth method. If we go back to our landing page for the dataset, we can find here on the download data the KMZ file for the dataset. So I'll just click on it, and it'll download a KMZ file which you can open in Google Earth. You can see there's quite a few stations over the United States and a bit less in other areas. If we zoom in on the Emirates, we can see the Dubai International Station here. Click on it. Gives us a few details, including an access to the station data. Let's see what happens if we click on it. I'm going to open it in Safari. Okay, it seems to have lost the link to Dubai, but we can search for it. And here we go, Dubai International Airports, and we can download the dataset. Okay, here's the dataset that we got through the Google Earth Engine link. It looks the same as the one we downloaded previously, but be careful. Tmax and Tmin are quite high, and it has nothing to do with climate change. What you need to do is to correct them by dividing by 10 to reach degrees Celsius. And I think probably you find the same is true for the precipitation data. Divided by 10 to convert to millimeters. Okay, just to summarize the Google Earth method, it's fast to find the stations. It's quite easy to link to the station data, although I'm not sure if it works correctly. We can download a full data set in one CSV file for each station, but be careful, you will need to process the data before you can use it. Also, of course, we still have to make a map for our report. The third option is the QGIS method. Let's open QGIS. What we need to do first of all is to make a background map. Go to Web Quick Map Services, Google Terrain. If you do not have Quick Map Services, you can install it in the plugins. Okay, we'll zoom in on Dubai. And you'll notice that our CRS is changed to 3857 from WGS84, which is what was before. I'm going to change it back. The next thing we need to do is to go back to the landing page of our data set, and under Search Data, you'll see here S3 ArcGIS Service for the dataset. And what you see here is the contents of the ArcGIS REST API for the GHCND dataset. What we'll do is just copy the web address to our memory. We'll go back to QGIS, and under the browser, ArcGIS REST Service, right-click, New Connection, paste in the URL, and give it a good name. Press OK. And we can just refresh it. It's going to connect to the ArcGIS server. And you see that there's two datasets. One's a raster and one a point dataset. So we're going to put the points. Now it's going to take a bit of time to load depending on the speed of your internet. Okay, it seems to have loaded. All these red dots here are stations. And because my internet is a bit slow today, I think I'm just going to save them to my hard drive. So what we'll do is we'll select them, like so. You see they've changed to a yellow color. Right-click, export, save selected features as. We'll save it as a geo package. I'm going to call it GHCN. But be careful, we want the CRS to be in WGS84. Press OK. I think I'm just going to copy the formatting across. Styles, copy styles, all style categories. Right-click, styles, paste style, all style categories. And maybe we'll just make the symbol a little bit bigger. Right-click, change size. I'm going to make it 8. Press OK. OK. Another thing we could do is maybe label them. Right-click, properties, labels. We'll just say single label. Station name sounds good. Draw a text buffer for millimeter. and we'll make them bold. I think 10 is quite large, maybe 8 is okay. Press apply, and I seem to have selected the wrong one here. Station name. Press apply and OK. Okay, so let's have a look at our data. Click on Identify Features and Dubai. Now you can see that we have the station ID, its name, and various other parameters, but there's no link to the dataset. What's important to make this link is to extract the ID of the station. Okay, so this one starting from AE, which stands for Emirates. Okay, let's make the data link. Right click, open attribute table. We're going to select the toggle edit mode, make it on, and then select the field calculator and look for a command called write. And I want to go to fields and value, station ID, copy the 11 characters from the right hand side of the station ID. Now if we look down here, you can see that Abu Dhabi International, it is giving us the correct station ID, because as you saw before, they should start with an AE if they're in Emirates. So if we, for example, put in a higher number, 12, you'll see there's something in front that shouldn't be there. So it's 11 characters. We need to create a new field first of all, and we'll just call it station. It's going to be a text, and I'm going to give it an output length of 20. Press OK. Okay, so we've got our station ID. Now let's get a link to the station data. Start editing, open the field calculator, and the first thing which we need is a link to the folder that contains all of the CSV files of the different stations. This time we have to go to a different landing page, which is a little bit confusing. Access methods, HTTPS, and let's click on the access folder. Okay, here's a folder with an absolute ton of CSV files in here. It should be 100,000 of them. So all we do is we're going to copy the link to this website, go back to QGIS, invert comma, Control V, invert comma to close it. The next thing is we'll have to put in one of these text separators, these two vertical lines. Click on that. And then we should have our station name, which we calculated previously, another separator, inverted commas, dot CSV, and inverted commas to close it. And you can see that there are no errors. Now, we're going to call this link to data, and again, it's going to be text, and it's going to be quite long as well. I have no idea how long it should be. Let's make it 100 and press OK. Stop editing, save, and let's have a look at Dubai. And we can see link to data, click on it, Bob's your uncle. All the data for Dubai, airport. And the advantage of this is that we can come back tomorrow, click on it, and maybe it's updated to a more recent dataset. Okay, just to summarize the QGIS method, it produces a professional looking map which is suitable for a report. We can maintain a live link to the server so that if any new weather stations are added, then they will pop up on our map. And we can also have a link to the data through a little bit of formulas in our attribute table. It does take a bit of time to set it all up, but I think once it's done, you can use it many times in future. So it's a very powerful method. Okay, the fourth option is the Excel tool method. Basically, it's an Excel spreadsheet with an embedded map. And this Excel tool links to individual GHCND stations around the world to download the data. So there's two jobs that need to be done. First of all, we need to create a map, and then secondly, we need to create the links to the data. So let's get started. To have a good map, we need to be able to cut it at exact coordinates. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll put a 1 degree grid over this map. Go to Vector, Research Tools, Create Grid. And we're going to select a line grid, and the grid extent will be from -180 to 180 and -90 to 90. 1 degree in each direction. WGS84, run. So this is what our 1 degree grid looks like. Let's change its color in symbology. So I just right click Properties, Symbology, and let's make it white. Press OK, and let's stick it immediately on top of our background map so it doesn't interfere with the labels. Okay, so now we're going to make a screen print, and I want to cut it exactly on some of these grid coordinates. Okay, so I'm now going to select it in such a way that I can chop it. Okay, so I've cut it exactly on the edges of the grid lines. The next thing that I need to do is to get the coordinates of those grid lines. Okay, so we've made our map. The next thing I want to do is to download some information about the stations. So go back to this landing page, and there's two data sets which I need. One is the stations metadata, and the other one is the country codes. So here are the stations, and you can see there's a code here, coordinates, elevation, name, some reference to what monitoring network it is, and a identification number. So we don't actually know which country it's in, so we need to take the first two letters here and then use that to identify it from the countries, which are here. So each country has a code, the first two letters. Okay, so the metadata for the stations and also the countries is actually a text file. So it's an additional challenge. Basically, all the data will be in our first column. We need to separate it. Go to Data, Text to Columns. And I think what we'll do is use a fixed width. Maybe another one in here. Shift Control, arrow down. Yeah, we've got 125,000 stations. Okay, let's separate the countries as well. First of all, let's copy all our countries. Shift Control, arrow down. It selected everything. Control C. And here is our Excel tool. So right click, paste special values. I doubt if there's going to be any additional countries, but you never know. Then we should go to our stations. And I did this last month, so let's have a look how many stations we have. 118,000, yeah, so actually a couple of new stations have popped up. Let's go to our station data. Shift Control arrow up to get to the top. I'm going to Control A, Control C, and go to our stations, right click, paste special values. Okay, so it has finished. Let's go to the bottom, Shift Control arrow down, and everything looks okay, but you'll notice that we've gone way beyond the 118,000. Previously it was 118,492. And now, shift control arrow down, we've got 125,000, 126,000 almost. So it's growing all the time. I guess it's best to update this frequently, because there might be new stations in whichever country you've got your project. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about this spreadsheet. Just update the gray area. The country code is derived using a left formula, so left, station ID, the first two characters, and then this column here, it takes a VLOOKUP function, looks for these first two characters in the country table and returns the name of the country back into the K column. Another thing we have here, this is a data table, so I've also got a slicer here that's linked to this table. Now what we're going to do is just select the United Arab Emirates, and let's click on this button here so we can select more countries, because we also have the Sultanate of Oman. Let's add that. Okay, so in the next sheet here, what we're going to do is just copy paste the stations into this spreadsheet which we're interested in. Okay, so it goes from ID, station ID, all the way to country code. All right, so I'm going to just select this data here, copy and paste values. Okay, so you see that a whole bunch of hyperlinks have popped up here, and we'll play with them in a minute. So the first thing we need to do is import our map. Click on the chart area, format plot area. Under fill, select picture or texture fill. We need to select our map, insert. Okay, so we've imported our background map, but obviously we need to match the coordinates. Let's check the northings. And then our eastings. All our stations have fallen exactly in the right place. Here's a map of all the stations in the region, but actually we just want Dubai, so let's grab it and copy, paste it into our project area. And now you see that it's turned red, which means it's the main weather station of interest. And we can see where it is exactly. Just click on the hyperlink to the Google Maps, and it'll open up exactly in the middle of Dubai Airport. Pretty cool, eh? And then we can also click on here to get our data. And actually we've already downloaded it, so it's immediately opened the same page. Okay, so this is a very easy way to update our data for stations which we maybe use all the time. So to summarize the Excel tool method, it's an efficient way to store all the weather stations of your country in an Excel spreadsheet. The data can easily be updated. It's a fast method to extract stations, especially if you're going to work on new projects. And it's actually also a good tool to share with your colleagues because it's quite lightweight and it has links to all the important stations which you may be interested in. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.